This hour, I just want to be more positive.
Okay.
And we'll talk about the movies that are out today. We've finally gotten to the. It's very fitting that the last weekend of the year, or last week of the year, we have to the most anticipated films with Black folks.
Yes.
Coming out.
Absolutely.
Fences and Hidden Figures. And so I'll share my thoughts about those. I had a chance to see those earlier, as did you on Fences.
Yeah, I got a chance to see Fences earlier this week. I was supposed to go see Hidden Figures last night, but it was across the bridge, and that was not going to happen last night. So, I'll check it out soon.
So, if you don't know already, Fences and Hidden Figures both open Sunday, Christmas Day.
Well, Hidden Figures opens limited, does it not? Because there are more screenings in January. Yeah, no, it opens. It's a smallest, like 16 theaters. It has to qualify for the Oscars, because Pharrell did the soundtrack and everything. Right. So, and also there's some really good acting, great performances in that film. So they wanted to qualify for Oscars. So in the Philadelphia area, it's not opening at Cherry Hill on Sunday. Okay. But it's also going to open at the UA Riverview downtown. So you kind of, it's not competition, but that's something if you like going to movies on Christmas Day, you can go see too. You can go see Fences, and then you can go see Hidden Figures if you're in Cherry Hill or at the UA Riverview. So that's nice. Yeah. So we got options on either side of the river.
Yeah. So to clarify, because before I think I was aware of the Cherry Hill, but I didn't know it was opening to Riverview until today. So we have that, and then also Sing is out today, which has Jennifer Hudson as one of the voices.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say Sing. You don't with animated films, you don't ever have to sell me on the ethnic tip. Okay. Other than Pocahontas, which I took particular umbrage about, because I just think that there's no way you're going to be able to tell an accurate story of a 15-year-old girl that ends up sailing down the river with two white dudes. But I'm saying, at that point in our history, there's no way that story is going to be historically accurate in the way that Disney would depict it. But
Colors of the Wind.
But yeah, it was a great song for Vanessa Williams. But Sing.
Yeah, I had
singing animals.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, we're planning a girls' movie date with some of my friends to go check that out, so we can digress back into our youth.
Well, I had a chance to see it. It's something for everyone. It's a lot of fun, and if you have kids, I highly recommend it.
You don't need kids,
huh?
Listening audience, you don't need kids.
Wow.
Just go and allow yourself to be a kid again. Your kid at heart can come out and fully participate in the film. Yeah. So what are you looking forward to it? I mean, it's a story. Matthew McConaughey plays a little koala dreamer, impresario who's run a theater, who loves theater, and but his business is failing. So he decides that his next show is gonna be a huge singing competition a la American Idol. Yes. That's
going to bring the whole town together. And, but his one-eyed assistant makes a mistake. And instead of we're going to $1,000, she puts $100,000. So everybody comes out. Of course. And then the fun begins. And he's got to save his theater and figure out a way to please all these people.
Yes.
And all these different characters come out of the woodwork and find their true voice in their dreams.
I was going to say, what about that do you think wouldn't appeal to me?
So if you go see Sing this weekend and you hear people singing in the background, it's definitely
all of that is going to be fun. And that's why several of my singer friends and I have made the plan to go see this collectively, because we know we are going to act up. I am not necessarily, this is a warning to anyone in the listening audience who is the parent or is going to be a caretaker of a small child. If you see me in the audience at an animated film and you have a little one with you, I am not the one you want to sit near, because my friends and I act up. I really literally thought me and another friend of mine were going to get put out of The Incredibles.
Okay.
Because there was a whole lot of other conversation going on that had nothing directly to do with the film, but, rippled out from it. I also had so much fun in Flushed Away. Okay. When it was in theaters, that there was a family with a little boy sitting in front of my friend and I who went to go see it. And And he was so tickled by how much fun we were having and how loud and laughing we were that he literally crawled over the seat and came to come sit next to us. His mother was mortified, like, what in the world? And she was like, are you all okay? I'm like, he's fine. So
well, you're going to have a lot of fun then.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't think it's right neck and neck with Zootopia for me.
Really?
Like, I think Zootopia is a better film because of story-wise.
Yes.
But the animation in this thing is incredible.
Nice.
Like, it's just really like the way they do the animals and the texture and the fur and the water and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's so hyper real. You just buy into the thing. And then the song choices are like from all sorts of like some of the best pop music from the last 30 years. So,
nice. Oh, but see, you just elevated it in my estimation.
And
this
a new song by Stevie Wonder in the closing credits.
Nice.
So yeah. So yeah, definitely high recommendation.
That's gonna get high Rotten Tomatoes rating for me.
Yeah, I think we're gonna need more time to talk about Fences, but I did Hidden Figures.
Yes.
As we know, if you're not aware, is the movie about the three women NASA scientists, mathematicians.
Yes.
And how they overcome the obstacles of oppression in terms of being a groundbreaking thing, so the Hidden Figures is that most people they know the story of the rocket launch, but very few people know that there were black women mathematicians involved in helping the launch.
Yeah, well, thankfully, throughout 2016, as the books were being released, I had a chance to interview Margot Lee Shetterly before her discussion at the Free Library. So we talked a lot about her history as a Hamptonian living in the area and how her father, as a mathematician, told her about these women, gave her the gift of math, and she felt it was necessary as an area of the Chesapeake region and everything else to make sure that she did her due diligence in uplifting them and their history. And then my very good friend, Professor Duchess Harris, co-won a Virginia grant with Margot Lee Shetterly. And so Duchess has co-written the children's version of the story, along with teaching materials that people can download, that our educators or parents can download, that shows the blueprint of the facility on Hampton's campus, where these women lived and worked, and talks more about some of the human dynamics of what it really meant to be a brilliant Black female mathematician during this time where we were struggling for civil rights, equity, and all kinds of other things. So there's I'm very thankful to have been able to engage those conversations here on WURD and make sure that more of our people know about this history.
Yeah, and I think people need to support it. And I think I'm in the minority though in terms of loving it. Like it's got a 94% Rotten Tomatoes. I talked to many people after the screening, and they just felt loved, and I just felt like there's two different ways to deal with the civil rights struggle when you make a movie, right? So you can make it civil rights with a big C and a big R, and everything is a big obstacle to be overcome, and then the audience comes out saying, wow, so much has changed. It's not like that anymore. Taraji P. Henson can drink coffee from whatever cup that she wants now. And she doesn't have to run all the way like half a football field to go to a bathroom. Look at how far we've come. Or you can do it the way Loving does, which is like, sort of like just make it a very simple story about two people who happen to be caught up in a big period of change, right. Where their life example, they're living, but then their life becomes something that's greater. Yeah,
and they're not striving to be this huge example. They would just like to be able to live their lives the way they wanted to live it. It was the attorneys who saw the larger scope of what it could do and basically asked their permission every step along the way. Can we continue to make you the example that we're going to use to change the entire country? And I mean, that's a hell of a position to be in.
Right. Yeah. And I think both movies are flawed for me. Like Loving, it just moves so slowly that it doesn't necessarily like you're not even aware of what's important, or even like he's Joel Edgerton's character, Mr. Loving. He's so low key about it. Like I don't even think he says to his wife that he loves her. He says it to somebody else. But
as someone who I haven't seen the theatrical release, Loving, I saw the documentary that the theatrical release was based on, and that's first of all, they did an excellent job in casting, because both Egerton and Ruth Negga, they look almost exactly like the people that they are playing, and that's really the kind of attitude, the kind of aura that was captured in those documentary films about the kind of progression of their case.
Yeah, and I think they're an enigma, and Nancy Bursky, who was the director of Loving Story, that was made on HBO. You can watch it on HBO Go at any time.
And you can and on
Netflix, I think.
When I saw it on Xfinity On Demand.
Okay. So they brought it back, but so she was involved. So there's two different ways to deal with civil rights struggle and oppression. So I just felt that, and we're going to talk about Fences next. I just felt like the direction and the writing were just so simple-minded that it was a missed opportunity for the actors. Like, and Janelle Monáe is a revelation, especially this year. She's in two great movies, Hidden Figures and Moonlight.
Yeah.
And everybody saw that star caliber in her. The fact that she's breaking out this year with two really great roles and somewhat different roles, even though they capture her personality, I think is great. And then Octavia Spencer, solid. And Taraji, I think a lot of people I talk to are having problems now after 2 years of Empire of seeing her as the great actress that she is.
Right.
But so she does it, but it's a very much a popcorn movie for the masses. There's no subtlety at all.
And I will say, I don't know if he had any executive production involvement in this, but that could partly because of Kevin Costner. He has a tendency, I think he's very well-meaning in trying to tell these stories where black and white can't we all just get along. And he's been involved in a lot of these kinds of stories in the last decade. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But I think that some of it is tailor-made so that the maximum number of people will come and feel comfortable in the way the story is told. And that probably had some influence on this one as well.
Yeah, but to me, it's real basic, everything's set up like the scene before, and then all the problems are set up and the obstacles. So it's sort of like, oh, well, she can't, she comes into the office and she gets a cup of coffee. So the next day she comes in and there's two pots of coffee, one that says colored and one that says everybody. So now that's what she's got to overcome. And, it's sort of like every thing is like a little battle that is going to represent how far we've come or how far women have come and all this other stuff. And it just seems like it just lacks subtlety. I mean, it's in some ways the best scenes are the things where they're dealing with the family relationships and the support of husbands. I mean, the Mahershala Ali, I finally got his name right. He's fantastic as the guy who courts Taraji, who's the single mom, and every all that stuff is great. But it also, in terms of, and it's great that we have this movie to fill in the blanks, because if we don't have a chance to see ourselves in the past, we that's part of our history as a race as well. So this is a very noble step to getting it, but at the same time, and it's great that Margot has the book, but and that the main mathematician is still living.
Yes.
So I would really like to, more people need to know the story. This is very sort of like pop, for the masses entertainment, and it's a woman writer, but no real black folks in the production of the film.
So, and I must do this as we go to commercial break, because Katherine Johnson is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated and received the Presidential Medal of Honor this year, or last year actually. So just want to acknowledge that that the woman that Taraji Henson portrays is still living.
Yes.
And is part of that living history that we are thankful we are able to tell more of her story and make it more widely accepted. And they're already seeing a bump in the number of black girls that are now looking into more STEM careers. Because, we've been pushing STEM in our schools for forever, but it does take sometimes being able to see yourself in that space in order to really fan the flame that exists in some of these young people about what it takes to make it.
Yeah, if you can see it, you can be it. And I love the poster for it. I want to get that for my wall because just three strong, if you can see the image in your mind, it's three strong black women standing in the arches, and on the bottom it says NASA. And it's just like, when are we going to see that image? And if folks don't go see this, we're not going to see it very often in the future. There'll be plenty more. Kevin Hart, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Oh, my God, please. Okay. And with that, we will take our first break of today's Real Black Radio. When we come back,
go see Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures is opening here in our area, the Riverview, which is now Regal. And across the bridge at the AMC Cherry Hill, Christmas Day, you can take you and yours can go check that out. And when we come back, we're going to have a conversation about Denzel Washington in his directorial reclaiming, if you will, of the August Wilson canon, beginning with Fences. That and more when we continue with today's edition of Real Black Radio after this.